We're going to talk in this video about authentic assessment and backwards design, and hopefully you already watched the authentic assessment Edpuzzle. Um, I want to start with this question: why were grades invented? And this is kind of a big question that's going to frame our discussion, an essential question. So think about that. Why do you think that is? Now, we talked the other day about why schools were invented. Why were grades invented? Well, there's a couple reasons, and I don't know exactly invented, but more like what we're using them for. One is we use them for motivation a lot. I use them for motivation. I use them so look, like I want you to do this. It has a due date. It's worth your grade. It's on your grade. Otherwise, people don't do it, right? And we've kind of conditioned that we do things for grades, which isn't always the best thing, but it is what it is. The other major thing it does is it works in educational systems. So if you get a grade in this class, that tells people you should have learned what the content of that class. And that becomes a credit that can then move forward. And I'm going to pause and let my kitty out. Okay, kitty's out of the room. All right, so that's great and all. But sometimes grades don't actually represent what students know. And there's some movements to try to make it more like it, but you think especially in K-12, in elementary, middle school, high school, a lot of time they're more about the effort students put in than whether they actually meet the standards. No, not always. There's times that it does. But I want you to think about, put grading out of the way for a minute and think about what this shows me. And I'm going to show you this little paper from my kid. What she was doing was she was copying this book that we had read together, this little phonics reader. And just looking at this, I don't need to give it a grade, but as far as assessing and understanding what she knows, I can see here she's the big bad fox met the red hen. And this is, I think, is supposed to say, can the red hen the? And that's not how the book goes, but it has those words in it. So it kind of tells me that she's not quite like putting the words in order in her head. Like she's not connecting the order of the words with the writing of the words in a way. And she gets mixed up when she's writing them, but she's getting there, right? So this is an assessment. This is looking and seeing, where are we? Now I want to show you something else. This is where I found this paper. I went in, she's not supposed to have a notebook in bed, but she fell asleep on it. And that tells me something else. That tells me she is engaged in learning. She wants to learn this, right? This is the little book we had been reading together, and she wanted to learn it. And so it really shows me that she's not doing this for a grade. This is not an assignment for school. She said she was going to give it to her teacher because I think she wants to please her teacher. But it's also showing how much she's just enjoying that learning process. Not for a grade, but it provides us assessment material. Okay? So there's a difference, or there's often a difference between grading and assessment. A lot of time we'll say we grade on certain things, but they don't have to do with the actual standards that we're assessing. So one example is a lot of the time there'll be points, like you get 2 points for having your name on the paper, right? It's fine to do, but think about why you're doing it. You're motivating your student to put their name on the paper. It's a good habit, but what you're actually trying to make sure that they know on that paper, unless it's whether or not they know how to put their name on the paper, that probably doesn't have to do with the content you're trying to assess. So it's still okay to grade that, but it's important in your mind to think about, if I have a standard, like standards we've talked about a little bit, I need to assess and see if they meet those standards. And so I want to make sure that, sure, I can have little grading things about writing neatly or whatever, but I need to make sure we focus more on the content than maybe some things that aren't really having to do with the standards. So what I want you to do is, I'm just going to pull things over from my other monitor here. We have this page, and it has a whole bunch of different prompts of things you can try in LLMs. And right now we're going to do the assessment standards alignment. Okay, and what this is this a prompt, or what you put into AI like ChatGPT, we call them large language models, what we put in there for it to tell us what to do. Now, you can always just have whatever you want to write in there. I created these prompts because it really helps them really helps you. This is a lot. 5. Okay, sorry. It really helps me embed what I want you to learn by telling the AI how I want it to talk to you and what I want it to do. And we'll work on writing these sometime. But what you're going to do is you're going to copy all of them. Now, something that's tricky with LLMs is that it's really easy to turn your brain off. I even have a little slide about it. You need to keep your brain on. It gives you all this content, and it's really easy to just like not write much. I want you to really try hard to push yourself to think while you're using it. We need to be thinking. We become collaborators with the AI instead of the AI doing things for us, right? We'll talk more about that. So I copied this prompt from here, and I'm going to come over. By the way, if you don't see this side window, it's just like this. These are like different tabs, and it's this one right here. I'll give you a direct link. And you're going to paste it here. Okay, that's that whole prompt. And we're going to start, and it's going to talk to me. Okay, I'm excited to guide you through this practice, how it works. I'll give a scenario and standard and criteria. Your job is to decide yes or no. Does it really explain it, and why? So the central question, does this criterion give me evidence that students can do what the standard describes? So here's the first one. Use variables to represent real-world or mathematical problems and construct simple equations and inequalities to solve them. And the assessment criterion, like something that might be on a rubric or worth a certain number of points, is shows all work neatly and uses correct math notation. And I'm going to say no because it doesn't focus on the equations. So it doesn't really match the standard. I'm going to go ahead. Sorry, I have this set that I have to do Control-Enter. I forget. Great start. You're right. The correct notation might support communication. The standard's heart is representing problems with equations and solving them. The criterion doesn't tell us whether the student can actually construct and solve them. It's not direct evidence. And then it's going to give you the next one. Okay. So what I want you to do is you can go through, there's going to be about 5 of these. I might even adjust the prompt so there's exactly 5. And after 5, I want you to save your prompt. And in Canvas, there's an assignment, and I don't think it's published yet, but it's the right class, yeah. There's an assignment called LLM Logs, and from this video and other videos you're going to do in a minute, this series of Edpuzzles, you're going to turn in your logs from LLM because I want to see how you're interacting and that you're thinking. So when you do it, after you do it, you're going to do this. You're going to copy this right here. This is just what we did when we did the AI lesson plans. And you're going to paste this here and go with that and press the right button. And it's going to give you, hopefully, a form. Now, Gemini doesn't like to do this. Other LLMs might not. So the other options are to copy, highlight all of this and copy it and put it in a document, paste it in a document, and you can submit that too. But this way I have a nice Word document here. Okay, so go ahead and work through that thing, this one, and then save your document. And then the next video, we'll move on to the next part.